It's me, Brianka J, and you're tuned in to a brand new episode of Book Talk. And I'm kind of throwing it back because I wanted to go over A Thousand Splendid Suns. And today's video is really going to be about like the historical context of A Thousand Splendid Suns, the ideology behind the title, and the poem Kabul. So let's get into it. This is a complement to the other A Thousand Splendid Suns video where we do analysis over chapters 1 through 9. However, this video is going to help on your first impression of the work, grounding you in the reading. So, very quickly, just want to kind of go over what we learn when we read A Thousand Splendid Suns. So, also, please use this channel as your very own tip jar. Like, comment, subscribe as you would. It's a way to really support the channel, and it makes this video really easy to make. So thank you so much in advance. Now, Kabul. This is a poem by a 17th century Persian artist. And it is the exact reason the novel is called A Thousand Splendid Suns. So, where's the key line that inspired the title? It says, one could count the moons that shimmer on her roofs, or the thousand splendid suns that hide behind her walls. This poem is about Kabul, the city, and the speaker's attitude toward it and that attitude. So let's get into this poem Kabul to really start us off. Kabul by Sabib-e Tabrizi. Ah, how beautiful is Kabul, encircled by her arid mountains and rows of the trails of thorns she envies. Her gusts of powdered soil slightly sting my eyes. But I love her, for knowing and loving are born of this same dust. My song exalts her dazzling tulips, and at the beauty of her trees I blush. How sparkling the water flows from Pool-e-Bastan. May Allah protect such beauty from evil eye of man. Kaiser chose the path to Kabul in order to reach paradise, for her mountains brought him close to the delights of heaven. From the fort with sprawling wall, a dragon of protection, each stone is there more precious than the treasure of Shaigan. The street of Kabul is enthralling to the eye. Through the bazaars, caravans of Egypt pass. One could not count the moons that shimmer on her roofs, and the thousand splendid suns that hide behind her walls. Her laughter of mornings has the gaiety of flowers, her nights of darkness, the reflection of lustrous hair. Her melodious nightingales with passion sing their songs, ardent tunes as leaves inflamed, cascading from their throats. And I sing the gardens of Johanna, of Shabada, and even the trumpets of heaven envy their green pastures. So, take a minute and think about, what is your first impression as you read the poem? Is it a positive feeling or is it a negative feeling? Consider, after hearing the poem, just first impression, was that a positive feeling or was that a negative feeling? Now, I hope you had thought about it, and if your answer is that it was a bit of a mix of both, I would say that that's exactly right. His relationship with the city of Kabul is very complicated. He loves it, but he also talks about how it stings his eyes, how it, has these walls that hide, these splendid suns. So we can see that though he loves this beautiful place, he does have a complicated relationship with it, where he feels, maybe he feels a way about it, and we need to use this poem to interpret how he feels. How we will do that, it's very simple. We're going to have to break this down chapter by chapter. So, in stanza 1, I would say we are in a state of pure awe. Moons that shimmer on her roof. The speaker sees Kabul at night and he's obsessed, right? It's like the city is wearing diamonds. But then by stanza 4, the heartbreak hits. Every street in Kabul is aware of my heavy heart. Now the streets themselves feel his pain. Then there's a turn that happens at the walls. Walls hide behind 1,000 splendid suns. Walls hiding 1,000 splendid suns, sorry. Is that protection? Is it protecting some type of beauty? Or what's going on? Could it be walls that keep me out? Or am I being rejected and exiled from the city that I love? We need to consider the speaker's full attitude when it comes to the city of Kabul. In my interpretation, I would say he loves Kabul desperately, but knows he'll never truly be loved back. Very interesting. Now, of course, I've only given you a little bit to think about, but I want you to take this poem and look for the connotation and the denotation. So the connotation is more of a feeling that the poem can give you. What words evoke emotion? The denotation, it could be literal interpretation. What words give you a literal idea of what's happening? So, for instance, the word beautiful, arid mountains, gust, slightly sting, love, loving. I would circle all of those words and consider that my connotation or his direct feelings in paragraph 1. However, on paragraph 2, on paragraph 1 for denotation, I might circle mountains, trails, thorns, knowing, born, dust, rose, the envy. These are words I would look for in terms of denotation to think about the literal meaning and what's happening in real time. Sorry, envy should be in connotation, not denotation. Please allow me to make that correction. So I want you to use those two ideas to really uncover what the poem is about. And think about, overall, why did this poem matter? We're reading the book, A Thousand Splendid Poems, and clearly the author has taken some type of creative freedom from the poem by Kabul, some type of inspiration. Why would he decide that we should consider this city and those 1,000 splendid suns? What does that mean? Well, 1,000 Splendid Suns really targets the women that live there and how they are being treated under the rule of Taliban and the war, the Soviet war, and the direct aftermath, what their lives are like, what their freedoms are like, and what freedoms are they denied. Could these women be the representation of these 1,000 splendid suns that hide behind the walls? These hidden stories that we are not always privileged to know intimately. I would say so. I would also argue that Miriam feels the exact same way about Kabul. She also loves her city desperately. She's our protagonist in the book we're about to read. And we also find she's always kept behind the walls. So, we have to think about this in a way to understand the work. What would we think about a story set about a woman who lived under a Taliban rule, a post-Soviet rule, and the Soviet rule? What would her life be like? Why would she have a complicated relationship with Kabul? This is an opportunity for us to predict the work and consider maybe even the historical context of women who live in the Middle East and what those lives are like and what those impacts are. We can do a quick Google search and learn that in this time, these women had difficulties keeping the right to attend school, to apply knowledge, to leave their house unescorted, they were told that it was legally allowed to be beaten, and they were required to, please their husbands. And they had a lifestyle that was very different from what a primary American audience would understand or even be able to conceptualize. Some of it these women take as a part of their religion and they're proud to follow traditions. And some of it these women want to be progressive and move forward and be modern. And there's a sense of conflict as these women are navigating their new lives and how society is asking them to be in the face of so much change. So the book is very interesting in that way. Now, why did this matter at all? Again, Miriam feels the exact same way, but for my 10th graders, when you write about something like imagery, you can use this poem as your model. The moon's shimmering, that is denotation. Literal moons are shimmering. And then connotation, beauty, hope, magic, how you might feel. This is a great way to start thinking about explaining imagery, connotation, and denotation, and it's great to use in any essays or exit tickets you might run across as reading this work. Now, before we leave, I want to give you some evidence in quotes. Students always ask me this when it comes to writing a final paragraph. When comparing these two works, I want you to think about this. 3 quotes you may need. Thousand Splendid Suns. This is a direct idea of Kabul's hidden beauty. Could this represent the women? Could this represent the architecture? Could it represent the walls that hide and protect the city? It's up to you to decide, but this is a direct interpretation of Kabul's hidden beauty. The next quote, every street is aware of my heavy heart. He is personifying, use the word personify or personification of his pain. He is saying that the street is aware. Well, we know that a street doesn't have awareness. It's inanimate. However, his heart is so heavy that the streets or everybody in the streets of Kabul is aware of his pain. This is a quote, and this is a reflection of how one personifies pain in a poem. Write it down, use it in your exit tickets, and you're bound to get an A from your professor. And then lastly, walls that rise between us. Walls that rise between us. Could this represent the ultimate rejection? What happens when walls rise between two different people? What could that feel like? Write that down. Use that in your exit ticket to make a decision about what's going on. And then, of course, I want you to think about, how does imagery reveal the speaker's attitude? What are we going to learn here? Take a shot at answering the question, but I'm going to give you a hint. You could think about the awe that he feels in the first stanza, the eventual heartbreak that he feels as we continue to read, and finally his resigned love that takes on the last 2 stanzas of the work. Now, that is all for my breakdown of Kabul. If you read it and it hit you in a certain way, please leave a comment and tell me why. If you want a little more about the lesson I taught when I did this with my students and different things that I took away, of course, I will try to link those PDFs in the comments for you to take a look at. I'm Brianka J. This is an intro to the work A Thousand Splendid Suns, and it's inspirational work, Kabul. Please have a great day. Come back. Let's talk a little bit more about A Thousand Splendid Suns in upcoming videos. And of course, like, comment, or subscribe. See you soon.